Hello and namaskar. We are back with a bang with another episode of Career Corner. Every day in this particular episode of 1 hour, we'll look at one aspect of building careers for youngsters who are between the age of, let's say, 17 to 23 years of age, who are starting the graduation or have just completed a graduation and starting a post-graduation. How do they look at what lies ahead for them? One of the key things that we find while building careers, yes, you need a specific knowledge of a particular domain, technical knowledge, technological knowledge, and you also need how to apply that knowledge into applications or in specific contexts, whether it's a context of engineering models or manufacturing or whatever, or context of software making, or context of, let's say, any ideation with respect to economics or application in political science or application in the form of a media product like a film or a photography or a blog or whatever. So you need those applied knowledge, if I can say that. But you also need very fundamentally strong communication skills. Sometimes people look at communication skills, sometimes people talk about soft skills. So there are various such things which is considered to be the soft power of a persona, of a personality. What you believe to be yourself is your personality, your sense of personality. What people believe that you are is the sense of persona. So for this persona to evolve, good communication skills become essential. Today we will talk about communication skills, specifically soft skills, and more specifically learning of English. And alongside we'll talk about international cultural studies. What is cultural studies? So we have with us someone who is born abroad but has been staying in India for quite some time, born to an Iranian father and an Indian origin mother, and brings together best of the elements of two historical nations like India and Iran, which was once called Persia. Welcome Ms.Najma Lashkarian Yazd, who is our assistant professor in the School of Professional Studies and who specializes in cultural studies and communication studies, more particularly on English communication. Welcome Ms. Najma to the show.
Thank you
this
so much,
show that as has been told, focuses on one career at a time or one aspect of career building. To begin with, you tell how much is communication and specifically English communication important for building a good professional career for youngsters in eastern and northeastern part of India?
Hello everyone. That's a very good question, to start with. I believe, as everyone knows, English is a global language, and moreover it's turned into it became a kind of business language around the world. So I think I already answered the question why it is so important to speak in English and communicate in English. That is one of the main reasons. Another reason I can say that as a young people, now everyone is trying to look for some opportunities, whether inside India or outside India, and no matter where, especially if your target is eminence companies or corporate offices, which they emphasize on hiring people who can speak English, and moreover they are good with their English. That's another reason why we have to know the language. The other reason is that you probably would like to go for your higher education and to go to the US, Canada, Australia, which are the major big countries. So their native language is English. Medium of education is English. So that is another aspects and important of learning the language. The other one can be just for fun. I mean, you would like to travel to different countries, different places, and explore. And over there, you cannot just go on without speaking a language. So knowing a language, that's going to really help you. So these are the main reasons why we have to learn English and to communicate better.
Great. And that brings us to the point that if English is so significant, as you are rightly saying, whether it's for job, social status, understanding of profession, going abroad, and interacting at the global level, as a language of business, language of communication at national level as well, along with your mother tongue and Hindi in context of India. If it is so significant, it should be studied in a proper scientific manner. What would you define to be the right and scientific way of learning English as a medium of instruction, medium of communication? How do you and how should the youngsters learn English?
Well, as I come from a country which English is not my second language and mother tongue language, is being considered as a foreign language, I find it quite challenging. And after moving to India, I realized the same challenge with people over here, that there is a huge struggle of learning the language. I really wanted to know why. I mean, I started doing some kind of research. I started doing some kind of studies. I started observing people. In fact, let's say I had a personal, chat and interview with people that why is it so difficult to speak in English and communicate in English, which this is a language where will reach you to your goals and make you closer to your goals. So I will start, with kind of, example, or maybe I will try to elaborate it more. Most of people which I discussed with them, and they discussed about that why they are going through some challenges, is that probably I understood that they did not understand the need of the language. That concept as not being deeply being penetrated into their mind, that I need the language. I don't blame them, because probably they are staying in some part of India that they knew that if you don't know the language, still they will get the job. So there's nothing to blame them for. Okay, we come to those people which already they know that English is important, but still they did not do anything about it. That has something to do again with the need, which we discuss about it. And then secondly, we say that, okay, they understood the need. But then there was another challenge, that they did not know how to do it, how to learn it, where to start it from, because probably they did not have the right guidance, because nobody in their surrounding could speak the language so well. Even in school, nobody was there to guide them. And they were somehow into a kind of ignorance. So this was second challenge we realized about it. And of course, later we sat and we discussed, and I personally tried to let them know that you people should be very happy that you are living in an era where you have YouTube and everything is available in YouTube. So why don't you start searching how to learn a language, any language. I don't want to be specific about English right now, but picking up any language, you have to know what you want to learn about. So the third point was that, okay, they got the idea also that where to go and look for it, but then after sometimes they used to come back to me and say that they were demotivated. And I said, again, what happened? They said that, okay, so what next? I mean, what we are supposed to do? I mean, why we are so demotivated? Why we cannot be motivated for a long, time? And I gave them the reason. I realized that even that happened with, me, that you have to understand that first, why do you want to learn the language? once you understand why do you want to learn the language, you have to find your own way of learning, how the best way you can learn the language. And that can happen when you try to turn it into a fun, and a kind of enjoyment. So that can happen with picking up the right subject or the right topic which you're more interested. For example, somebody comes to me and said that, Najma, I am so much in love with dancing and I love to dance. So I said, okay, that's a good topic. You can pick up dancing. You can search lots of, articles or videos about dancing which people are talking about it. You can learn those terminologies, and while you are, performing in front of camera, it's going to be sort of kind of training. You can even train people by using those, terminologies, and this is how you will be improving your language. So I suggest you people to pick up your favorite topic, check different sources, YouTube, Google, podcast, because there is a reason behind it, that pick up only one topic and try to bombard yourself from different websites on the same topic. This is how your mind start focusing on a very let's say a regular, very a proper vocabulary, and your mind start developing a list of vocabulary on that content which you want to learn. The other point is that after turning a language into a kind of enjoyment for yourself, now it's a time that you have to bring the methodology which I have already talked. You have to find your own methodology. It's not that I am going to tell you this is the right way you can pick it up. There are great institutes, English institutes outside, which you can join, and they will come with one of the best methodologies around the world, but that may not work for you. So again, I'll tell you that there are lots of sources outside which you can go listen to them and find which one suits you. Another good reason can be that if you want to learn the language and you want to keep yourself motivated with the language, is that you have to create a system. And what do I mean by creating a system is that I don't mean that, okay, you come up by fixing a particular time in a day that you are going to sit for that 1 hour or 2 hours, and start, focusing on learning the language. It can happen that when you are driving, in a car, of course, make sure that to have your headset and listen to your favorite podcast. While driving, you are actually utilizing your time. Or while you're cooking, some people are in the kitchen, they're cooking, and they can, open a YouTube channel of their favorite, and they can keep listening. Listening is very important. It is just like, children till age of 2 years, they keep listening, and then all of a sudden they start talking. So try to get as much as input you can, and at the right time the output comes. And the last one, which is very important, is fact is that we have to understand the attitudes towards the language. Why? In fact, this is a main concern, that why people find learning a language is a kind of challenge, because I believe they don't have the right attitude towards the language. You have to, when I talk about attitude, it has a direct relationship with the mindset. You have to have an open mindset, and to learn anything new you want, to reach that level of mastery. And with that, along with that, you have to be patient. That you cannot conquer the world in one night or in one day. You have to be patient with what you are doing. And in fact, being patient in any kind of language learning or any kind of skill learning will help you to develop every day. And you can even make the best thing is that while you're learning, why don't you keep a track of your learning? Keep a record of your learning, and every time when you get back, that what you did the previous day or the day to, before that, that will encourage you to keep on going.
Some of the very simple practices that we have been, at least I have been introduced early in my life by my father and thereafter by some of the teachers, were to read one English newspaper every day, and often to read the headlines loud. When we read aloud, we actually listen to what we are saying. It also helps in developing the concept of spellings, pronunciation, and also allows us to see the spellings very minutely. My father used to point out 7-8 words, tough words, on the editorial page of a newspaper on a regular basis, which we were supposed to know by the end of the day. And that's one way of learning. Yes, in classroom there should be encouragement of speaking in English, because without speaking, only listening would also not lead to learning per se. Many people also believe that when you are now above 17 years, it's good to watch an English movie in one of the good channels like HBO or Star Movies or wherever, and with subheadings also. So one is the accent coming up in the ears, and you're also, the eyes are reading the supers, and that will allow someone to really relate the written language, the spelling, and the accent or the pronunciation together. So some simple tricks and tips to learn the language better, and you can continue having more ideas on that. Hey, welcome to Adamas.
My research is on my way. I am very much proud to be a part of Adamas University.
Cricket is my passion and I am proud to be a part of Adamas University.
I believe.
Hi, I'm Debosmita Biswas.
This is Kunal Kanti Maiti.
I'm Srijoni Paul. This college has given me placement in one of the best companies in US staffing, which is Iconma. I am proud to be a part of Adamas University.
Pursue excellence.
Global society of nearly 8 billion people with 1.3 billion in India is going through a churn. Be it politics, economics, history, society, international relations, or in the literary expressions. There are major movements, growth initiatives, new literary trends, and the social issues rising in various parts of the world. Hence, the need to have an in-depth, perceptive education of liberal arts which encompasses all of these. Welcome to the Adamas University School of Social Sciences.
ভালো রোজগার, কাজের স্বীকৃতি, স্বপ্নের চাকরি,
এগুলোর জন্য কি শুধুই কঠোর পরিশ্রম যথেষ্ট? না, এটা পড়াশোনা এবং প্রফেশনাল ট্রেনিং এর একটা কম্বিনেশন। তাই যে এমন একটি কলেজ বা ইউনিভার্সিটি যেটা এই দুটোরই গ্যারেন্টি দেয়, যেমন অ্যাডামাস ইউনিভার্সিটি। এখানে ছাত্ররা শুধু পরীক্ষায় দারুণ নম্বরই নয়, সঙ্গে পায় দুর্দান্ত প্লেসমেন্ট এবং কর্মজীবনের প্রয়োজনীয় দক্ষতা। তাই আজই নিজেকে রেজিস্টার করো অ্যাডামাস ইউনিভার্সিটির অ্যাডমিশন টেস্টে, আর এগিয়ে যাও একটা উজ্জ্বল ভবিষ্যতের দিকে।
With a 2% share of the India's GDP, the media industry is growing faster than India's GDP. And with the world's largest number of films and television channels, it is the national informer and entertainer. With more than 1,000 films a year, cinema is our soft power. News, entertainment, brand communication, we lead Asia in all. And a multi-skilled multimedia talent is being trained in the Adamas School of Media and Communication. Pharmaceutical technology is on the rise in India in particular and Asia in general. And newer research in medicine is modernizing the sector immensely. We in India have the fastest growing pharma sector in the developing world today. Adamas School of Pharmaceutical Technology, with its superb and detailed laboratory facilities, has one of the best pharma schools in the nation waiting to welcome you. There's no more intellectual pursuit of knowledge higher than the liberal sciences, which encompass physics, chemistry, mathematics, geography, and psychology. Adamas University School of Sciences has seamlessly blended conceptual learning with practice and evolved BSc and MSc courses, leading to research, academic, and corporate careers for the learners. Welcome to the wonderful world of sciences at Adamas University.
Learning English is considered to be one of the soft skills of a person. What is a soft skill, and what are the entire sets of soft skills that a person should have while becoming a professional?
And what do we mean by soft skills? Soft skill is a combination of social skills, communication skills, and people skills. So all these three, when they come together, we come with the concept of soft skills. And this concept is being so much used in today's world, especially because I have been working in corporate office for many years, so I have realized it, how important is it in today's world to have these kind of skills. You see, I'm sure I want to start again with some kind of stories that I came across people. Many of my friends, they were so good, with the English. I'm talking about the level of their English were high. They could speak, high in a sense that they could write well, and they had, vast, vocabulary, concept. But but when they wanted to perform in front of people or other colleagues, or they were planning to give any kind of presentation, actually they were little helpless. And I was surprised why that is, why that's happening. Again, I got into my research mood, and I realized that really a language, or learning a language, it has nothing to do that with your level of, it has nothing to do with your English level of English be high or good. It is important that how good you're going to communicate, and that's what is really important. I want to say that again, I had a friend of mine, her level of English was low, but the way she used to communicate, that was amazing, and I really wanted to know the reason. And then after again a number of chats which we had, and discussion which we had, I just understood that she used to speak with such a confidence. She was fearless. She never thought people are going to judge her, and she, what all in her mind she had was that I have a target and I have to reach that target. I have to present in front of my manager, and I have to do my best. That is what is important, because she was looking for a result, and that is the main thing in learning a language, guys. Soft skills will add to it. It's just like spices you put into your daily food, and you try to make it look more delicious. I mean, and as well as taste really delicious. So there are some some ways you have to follow. It's not that only you can just especially when we talk about soft skills, it comes about dress coding. It comes about presentation. It covers presentation skills. It presents even how you are sitting in front of public, how you're standing, the movements of your eyes, your facial expressions, your rate of speech. So you should understand that just knowing the language is not enough, but you have to have other ingredients, those spices to add to what and do something great and amazing, to bring that magical moment that yes, she is the right one or he's the right one. I'm sure that you must have come across someone in your family, in your college, in that, oh my God, they had a big impact on you, and you said that tomorrow I'm going to be like that person. Why is it so? Is it just because the person could speak the language so well? I don't think so, because the person was good with the language, and the person made sure that to follow other parameters and other rules, to dress up well, to look confident in front of people, and to be sure that what he or she wants to say, regardless of being judged by other people. So I think it's really important that besides learning a language, something about soft skills, which I already said.
Social skills, personal skills, communication skills, which also includes emotional intelligence. When we understand emotional intelligence, we understand what we are emotionally inspired with or motivated with, what is our weakness with respect to emotions and feelings, and also we understand the emotional needs and aspects of the persons we interact with. So it's important that we interact with someone from a point of dignity and in a manner in which the other person's emotions are taken note of. Emotional intelligence is to understand intelligently what are the emotional triggers of oneself and the other, and accordingly behave, so that the triggers are for positive emotions, no doubt, but not nurtured, or not rather hit up for the negative emotions. So it's important that soft skills would include that as well. I also believe that in personal skills, the way we talk, the way we are empathetic, the way we are sensitive to a situation, that way we focus on what is being discussed and asked and not meander around, are some of the aspects of soft skills as well. Even the way we conduct ourselves, take ourselves, neither suffering a lack of confidence nor suffering an arrogance or overconfidence, because there is no end to learning. And since there is no end to learning, there is no harm in accepting that certain thing is not known to me, and you're looking forward to the guidance of the other person who might know it better. So that doesn't reduce our any position. And on the other hand, to presume that we know everything is also wrong. Soft skill is also that balancing neither arrogance nor diffidence, somewhere which is qualified confidence. That would also be a part of the soft skill. Well discussed, Ms. Najma. We move on to the other aspect of your life. You have been born and brought up in Iran, but you have been studying and working in India for quite some time. How do you compare the cultures with respect to women, with respect to mass behavior on the streets and at homes? How do you compare the cultures of Iran and India, which are known to be great nations historically, with a past which is phenomenal? And to that extent, I must also say that at a particular period of history in our country, for more than 1,000 years, Persian language and culture had a major impact, which can be seen in the architecture, literature, even the Juvan, the language that we say. Many Persian ingredients in our food, in our language, in our architecture, in our culture are already there. So how do you compare today, being someone of this generation, the cultures between Iran and India?
Well, thank you so much for such an interesting question. It was at when I came to India. Okay, I have to talk about two parts of my life. I came to India many times, and I have visited my family back in Hyderabad. That time I was just a tourist visiting India, and when okay, let's not say India because India is so vast, and I have to just talk about one state, because each state it has its own specialities. So at that time I was just a tourist coming for around 1 month or 2 months, visiting family, let's say enjoying with friends, going to movies, parties and shopping and everything. So that time everything was so different, when you travel as a tourist, everything is going to look so fancy, and so it's going to be really shiny and so nice. Later I moved to India again, Hyderabad. I got a scholarship by Indian government, and that was really amazing. I came to do my master in literary and cultural studies, and I settled down in Hyderabad. That time the lens which I was looking into my life, or let's say to people around me, was completely has changed. That time I was not a tourist, and I consider myself that okay, no, I am a part of these people. If I really want to enjoy life, and I want to, let's say for me that time, to survive here without my family for 2 years, I should not feel that I'm an outsider but a citizen, and I'm one of these people. So I have completely shifted my mind and my mindset from a tourist mindset to a kind of citizen mindset. And I think that was the result was much greater, and it was so fun, and I really enjoyed it, and I really that time realized that what does it mean to live in India, and to feel. And I had many people, they used to come and say, Najma, we visited India. I said, no, you can never say you have visited India. You have just been to Taj Mahal, or Delhi, and that is just a tiny part of India. And you were sitting, in that AC cars. You had that luxurious, touring the city, and sitting in a luxurious hotel. You can never say that you have visited India. You want to visit India, you have to go barefoot. You have to go get into the streets of India. You have to eat those street foods. You have to try to talk, try to communicate with them. Try to get as close as possible to them. And I really realized that people are so humble here. People are so nice, and people are not even, if you try to get close to them, they will never consider you as an outsider or as a foreigner. They will try to take you as one of them. And that was a surprising and great part of it, where my other foreign friends used to come and sometimes complain that they consider us as a foreigner. And when I used to share my experience with them, they used to really be amazed. And I used to tell them, in fact, something funny I would like to say, that I have learned Hindi through watching movies only. My mother, she never spoke in Hindi with me. So 10 years I watched Hindi movies. And when I came here to do my studies, I said, okay, first thing I realized that I should not bother people by my English, because I am going to deal with local people which they cannot speak the language. So that time I said that if I want to live in India and I want to enjoy this country and this city, I have to become one of them. I started speaking in Hindi, though it was in a very funny way, and people used to laugh at me, and not laugh at me, but then they used to enjoy. That helped me to get closer to people. That helped me to understand the culture. The culture is amazing. Yes, there are lots of similarities between Iranian and Indian culture. Both the culture, people are humble, people are hospitable, people show important to food, and those even different kind of festivals are so important. And sir asked me about the position of women. I would like to say that I'm happy in today's day. I can see more number of women are taking, important roles in the society, and women are not to be considered only a kind of, commodities, or just, to be labeled that you're just a mother or a wife or a housekeeper. I mean, you have to just stay at home and take care of house, and men, they should go out. I'm so happy that by seeing lots of MNCs around us. In fact, the number of women working in MNCs are more than men. So it means that India has changed a lot and allowed women, to come and voice themselves and take care of themselves, and as well as take care of their family. People have become more educated here. And I have, especially last 15 and 20 years, I have seen a huge change, in development of, in the development of country, and as well as, women's education. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Good.
Hey, welcome to Adamas. My research is on my way. I am very much proud to be a part of Adamas University.
Cricket is my passion, and I am proud to be a part of Adamas University.
You have misused, I believe.
Hi, I'm Debosmita Biswas.
This is Kunal Kanti Maiti.
I'm Srijoni Paul. This college has given me placement in one of the best companies in US staffing, which is Iconma. I am proud to be a part of Adamas University.
Pursue excellence.
Global society of nearly 8 billion people with 1.3 billion in India is going through a churn. Be it politics, economics, history, society, international relations, or in the literary expressions. There are major movements, growth initiatives, new literary trends, and the social issues rising in various parts of the world. Hence, the need to have an in-depth, perceptive education of liberal arts which encompasses all of these. Welcome to the Adamas University School of Social Sciences.
ভালো রোজগার, কাজের স্বীকৃতি, স্বপ্নের চাকরি, এগুলোর জন্য কি শুধুই কঠোর পরিশ্রম যথেষ্ট? না, এটা পড়াশোনা এবং প্রফেশনাল ট্রেনিং এর একটা কম্বিনেশন। তাই যে এমন একটি কলেজ বা ইউনিভার্সিটি যেটা এই দুটোরই গ্যারান্টি দেয়, যেমন অ্যাডামাস ইউনিভার্সিটি। এখানে ছাত্ররা শুধু পরীক্ষায় দারুণ নম্বরই নয়, সঙ্গে পায় দুর্দান্ত প্লেসমেন্ট এবং কর্মজীবনের প্রয়োজনীয় দক্ষতা। তাই আজই নিজেকে রেজিস্টার করো অ্যাডামাস ইউনিভার্সিটির অ্যাডমিশন টেস্টে, আর এগিয়ে যাও একটা উজ্জ্বল ভবিষ্যতের দিকে।
With a 2% share of the India's GDP, the media industry is growing faster than India's GDP. And with the world's largest number of films and television channels, it is the national informer and entertainer. With more than 1,000 films a year, cinema is our soft power. News, entertainment, brand communication, we lead Asia in all. And a multi-skilled multimedia talent is being trained in the Adamas School of Media and Communication. Pharmaceutical technology is on the rise in India in particular and Asia in general. And newer research in medicine is modernizing the sector immensely. We in India have the fastest growing pharma sector in the developing world today. Adamas School of Pharmaceutical Technology, with its superb and detailed laboratory facilities, has one of the best pharma schools in the nation waiting to welcome you. There is no more intellectual pursuit of knowledge higher than the liberal sciences, which encompass physics, chemistry, mathematics, geography, and psychology. Adamas University School of Sciences has seamlessly blended conceptual learning with practice and evolved BSc and MSc courses, leading to research, academic, and corporate careers for the learners. Welcome to the wonderful world of sciences at Adamas University.
You have spoken about culture. So there is the domain of education called culture studies. So culture studies looks at society from a particular perspective, and this has been encouraged to either as a major or a minor, so that people are more sensitive to the society and culture around. What does culture studies include? Why is it important? What significance does it have in today's professional's life and work? If you could throw light on the domain of culture studies.
Yes, first of all, let me give you a definition of what is cultural studies. Cultural studies, it is a pattern of living, some sort of behavior which people they have in a community. That is called, that's a sort of, culture what we are following. For example, if you go to some certain country, you will see that during Christmas the entire society they buy Christmas tree and that plum cake, and all of them they try to behave in a similar way. When you go again to Middle East, they have their own culture, and when you come to India, they have their own culture. The importance of studying cultural studies in today's time, I find it it's really important because if you know the culture, if you understand the culture, this is how you can make some kind of progress in your life, and you can understand where you are standing. And moreover, you can make your life, more easy. I mean, I would like to ask me more in details.
No, you could speak
yes.
about culture studies
Yes.
in general, in details. What is the content of culture studies?
Yes.
What significance? Its impact? You can talk.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, when I was studying this cultural studies, I focused on a very particular topic, which was about voice. Whether and about violence of the word, which I did not know that this is part of the cultural studies. Cultural studies is an interdisciplinary course which covers everything. It can cover that political science, it covers women's studies, it covers human rights, it covers sociology, it covers psychology. So the important things which I studied about cultural studies was about that why using a right vocabulary or positive vocabulary is so important in everyone's life, because during my studies, when I was reading some articles and when I watched some movies, and when my professors they were discussing, I realized that that is when how important is it that when somebody is going to talk to you in a positive way, in a positive, motivated way, to help you to come out of what you are struggling. And I have seen those moments where because not using the right vocabulary or not showing the right attitudes, how they have degrade you, how they have try to hold you down. I think it's really important to when you are talking about cultural studies, culture let's say covers everything. covers your social behavior, covers your psychology, what's happening, you know, in your mind, covers about, you know, that about your country's, you know, norms. So it takes a bit from every, you know, domain, and that is how, you know, you put them all these domains together and you try to understand what is happening in others' mind, and, you know, maybe accordingly you will behave, or you will react, or you will, you know, respond to what others are doing or other nations are doing.
Great. This is the concept.
Yeah.
How do you make use of it in our day-to-day life, particularly in professions which are dealing with media, communication, academics, or diplomacy, or an economist's job, or a job connected to, let's say, writing, you know, a journalist work, or a regular writer's job. So cultural personality, an artist, in all this type of work, and going beyond as well, how do you make use of culture studies in regular careers and life?
Well, I would like to talk here about how, yes, as you said, how we are going to use it in our day-to-day life and regular life. We have to talk about two concepts. One is a high context culture and low context culture. I take my, you know, myself as an example, that I come from different nation, and I am right now here, and what I'm supposed to do to, you know, try to manage, you know, my work, my attitudes in my, you know, daily life, in accordance to my colleagues and according to my neighbors and all. First, again, I'll give you an example, and then I will get into that, you know, two concepts. When I came first here, I remember that somebody asked me, would you like a cup of tea? And because that time I was very young and I was feeling shy, I said, no, thank you. No, I don't want you to bother yourself. So I sat there for half an hour, 1 hour, and in fact, I was waiting still for people to offer me a cup of tea. And that did not happen. I remember I went back home and I was crying, and then, you know, my family members, they were so worried. What happened? I said, they offered me a cup of, they asked me whether I would like to have a cup of tea or no. I was feeling shy to directly say that yes, I would love to, and nobody got it, you know. And I remember my grandmother, she picked up the phone and she was laughing, and at the same time she was, you know, somehow scolding these people that she comes from different nation, and in that nation, when people, they ask, would you like a cup of tea, indirectly for saying yes, they will say no, you should have, you know, get her a cup of tea. And that is where I realized that these tiny things, you know, these tiny differences between two cultures, that really matters, because see the impact it had on me. Later, you know, when I had gone, I had to give a lecture on it. I came across two concepts of high context culture and low context culture. So we will divide countries, you know, fortunately, or I don't want to say unfortunately, in these two, you know, categories. People who are living in the West, they come under low context culture. People, you must have seen, you know, Hollywood movies, or you have seen foreigners, you know, that when directly said, no, I don't want, I want. And they're so easy and smooth when the way they talk, even when they demand something, okay, they are fearless and they don't feel shy. And you must be wondering, why are they like this? Because they come from a low context culture. In low context culture, you know, the culture is being designed that you're straightforward, you will ask for what you want, you don't have to feel shy, you have that confidence, okay, and you don't go, you know, you don't beat the bush, you go straight to the heart of the point. Whereas when you come to the high context culture, which most of Asian countries, Middle East countries, even some Africa, they come under this culture, that people are trying to be very conservative. People are trying not to show that they are friendly, and when they want to even tell you something, they don't tell you directly. They will come with so much of, you know, examples. You know, they beat the, you know, they go beat the bush, and you will not understand exactly what they want to say. So to understand that whether you belong to a high context culture or low context culture is very important. And to understand and keep the balance between them is another point. And one thing I would like to clear is that it is nothing good or bad with any of this, you know, low context culture or high context culture. It is just a mindset and a mentality. Okay, you have to understand where you are, and according to that you have to pick up the best and balance it with your culture. It's just like you have to stick to your belief systems. You don't have to give up on your belief systems or whatever you believe in and get hold of other cultures. It is just like if you want to stay out of trouble and if you want to get a better result, you have to understand these cultures. This can be used a lot in corporate offices, which you guys are going to in close future work in it, because there you will have a boss who is coming from a low context culture and you people are from high context culture. So your boss is going to be very straightforward and say that, okay, by end of the day you should give me for example, the report. But people in high context culture, we people have the tendency of we are a little lazy. That concept of the end of the day doesn't matter really, and this is where the conflicts happen. That is where you don't get the results. So understanding what the other culture is and understanding yours and trying to match them together, it's going to really help you in your day-to-day life, and it makes you to have a broader perspective. It makes you to be more flexible, and it makes you to help be more patient, and it helps you to listen to others more, and then respond instead of reacting.
Great. So this point is very well taken. Respond and don't react. When you act before the time comes, or when you act with a sense of urgency and taking the responsibility yourself, it's proact. And when you act only immediately as a quick retort, that's react. And what is significant is when you act with thought, with a clarity on the emotional intelligence of yourself and the other person, and also on the need of the moment, with clarity of thought and applying mind, then it is response. The response is a stronger factor than mere reaction. Yes, proactive measures are required, particularly in organizations or even with individuals. Proactive measures are required. For example, we are going through a COVID situation where proactive measures to maintain physical distancing and long-term hygienic concerns and safety measures, what I can call as social vaccines, physical distancing and safety measures long term, would be required, and therefore organizations and people have to be proactive. But in day-to-day life, reactive behavior is quite negative. It has to be responsive. One has to be responsive, because being responsive is being responsible. I understand it in the context of individuals, what you have said, in a social context, very correctly what you have said. But what I would like to understand a little bit more is how do you apply culture studies in the work that you do, in the work, not you personally, that a young professional does. I'm not talking with respect to very technological jobs, but in jobs where you have to deal with people, whether it's hospitality industry, whether it's educational industry, academic job or similar other areas. How and why and in what forms do you use culture studies in day-to-day work?
I think when we talk about cultural studies in day-to-day life, we are not, I don't want to make it specific to a specific region or a particular group of people. I would like to talk about it that this attitude can be carried wherever you go around the world. Imagine that nowadays, as we are dealing with this COVID-19, there are nurses and doctors who are working outside day and night, and they're doing they're our heroes and they're doing a great job, and in their day-to-day life they have to come across different multiples a number of situations which they can end up in their frustration. That is where these these cultural studies concepts come, that how you can apply it is that in any condition you have to be patient, and you have to put yourself in someone in others' shoes. I mean, first of all, you have to remove your yourself, your foot from your shoes, and then put it in others. That is very important. And even those people who are let's say, approaching doctors also should understand that just because he or she is a doctor and they're responsible, to take care of your life, they don't mean they are, gods and they can do miracles. Even they have some limits, they have some capacities, which, we have to understand that. For me, which I really understood that cultural studies is nothing but to understanding every situations, every humans, in life, and accordingly, to that situation act. It means that knowing cultural studies, you have to, it kind of like every day you have to stay upgrade. Every day you have to remind yourself that, you have a purpose of, you have a purpose in this world, and it's just because you are in a certain situation you can behave in a certain way, doesn't, it doesn't, it's really not going to work. If we pick up, that, a sociology part of it, if you pick up a society, concept of it, that cultural studies has another important thing, that we are all culturally being, educated, that in today's, time, they are asking us, for example, stay at home and take care of yourself. Please start, avoid coming outside as much as possible, or you have your social, distances, which is really important. So this all has a direct, a relationship with, the culture and what you have, understood about that culture. I think it covers everything. I mean, as I said before, that when you are in, in the domain of, like, when you're talking about human rights, when you're talking about, what is happening in society right now.
Great. That brings us to an end on understanding communication, social skills, soft skills, culture studies, and how do we use English in our day-to-day life, and how do we understand and learn English scientifically. There have been various aspects covered by Ms.Najma Lashkarian Yazd, a professor with a faculty member with our School of Professional Studies, and who has come from Iran but has been higher education, has been in India and working in India, and has been observing and being involved in the cultures of Iran and India. Thank you, Ms. Najma, for enlightening session on culture, communication, soft skills, and English. With that, we bring this session to an end. Thank you.
Thank you so much.